Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. Marseille. We got some things to talk about today. What's wrong with that camera? Focus, focus, focus. Did it focus? Kind of. Hey, I'm going to talk about some things today. I'm going to share with you some of the secrets of what makes me so successful as a company driver. And for those of you that hang out all the way to the end of this video, I'm going to even share a big secret with you on how I trip plan. Trip plan made easy, easy, easy. And how to trip plan so that you make the most money that you can possibly make where you're at. So you'll want to stay for the entire video to catch that. But how to be successful. Before we get into that, though, I'm going to talk about one thing that has to do with the time that we are living in. Definitely some interesting times. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but I'm addicted to TikTok. What can I say? I'm just on TikTok. Love looking at TikTok. But there's one of the TikToks I find most humorous, and it's you've all seen the Match.com. You know, we're hooking up, you know, getting a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, a love connection online. There's this one TikTok ad where it's called A Match Made in Hell, and it's where Satan and 2020 pair up together. A match made in hell. I think it's hilarious, okay? I think it's absolutely hilarious. It's my favorite TikTok. But looking back, you know, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, reflecting back on 2020. And I had to think about what was the most predominant feature of 2020. And the most predominant feature that I can think about in the last year was the evoking of fear. Now, I know through my studies in sociology that fear is normally a tool. It's either used for control, manipulation, to get you to give something up, to give somebody permission to stick their hands in your pocket, or like in this case, it's actually two things. To stick their hand in your pocket and to give up your liberty and freedoms. But after the November 3rd election, what we woke up to the next day, that level of fear that ran through our nation. And all the fear that they're evoking on you. You know, the pandemic, we're all going to die. Remember when the coronavirus first came out? When it first came out, they were talking to us like a third of our population was going to be killed off by this pandemic. And here we are at the end of the year, and actually the numbers aren't much different than the common flu. But evoking that fear. Let me tie these two things together. The fear of the pandemic. The election, which we still don't know. I have a good idea of the way it's going to go, but still about the fear that's being evoked from this election. And I'm going to kind of tie those together. Fear generally comes from ignorance. Fear is caused by the unknown, what you don't know. And when they first come out telling us about this pandemic, I'm telling you, it just absolutely scared the crap out of me. And I had a trainee on the truck. And so I had to start treating my truck like a clean room. We, as truck drivers, we couldn't get anything. We couldn't get hand sanitizer because what stores we could get into, they were all sold out. There wasn't any rubber gloves. There wasn't any PPE. I mean, there just wasn't anything for us. So we were out here just running wide open. And even our customers, the shippers and receivers, they closed us off from their facilities where we can't even use their restrooms, and they don't even want to let us inside yet. And they put up these electronic check-in gates where you just put in all your information at the front and it tells you where to go and do this. So you don't actually have any contact with anybody inside the company. I would expect the next step of that is they're going to send you your BOL, your bills of lading electronically, which, hey, I'm all cool with that. But this whole bit about how they invoked fear on us the way that they did. We're all going to die, right? And I will tell you, I only had, in my class, getting my sociology, I only had one class on human biology. So what was it, Human Biology 101? I mean, so it's pretty weak. So I really didn't have the knowledge about viral diseases, viruses, that type of thing, other than dealing with livestock and being a little bit of a farmer. So whenever I have a problem, and since I know that fear comes from the unknown, as soon as I come across something that bothers me or worries me or puts a little fear into me, or any type of problem that I have, what I immediately start doing is I start studying. So when this pandemic came out, I didn't know what was true, and some of the things that there was, it just didn't make sense to me. And the reaction to it absolutely made no sense to me whatsoever. So I started studying. And the more I started studying, the more I started going, bullshit. And still, the majority of people are making the decisions concerning this pandemic, which is not a pandemic. Me and another a guy that I used to do a lot of research with years ago, we were talking on the phone on New Year's Eve, and we were talking about the fact about how information changes. One of my favorite topics, revision of history. But we got off on that topic I said, I hadn't looked it up, and I asked him if he had. I said, did you look up to see the total number of deaths in the United States for 2020 and the total number of deaths for 2019, and see if they were basically the same? I said, because I wouldn't be surprised if they were actually less. And the reason why I thought they might be less is because nobody's out and about. They're not traveling as much. They're not as taking much risk. They're basically staying home, locked in their homes. But and in this discussion, he said, yeah, I looked at it, a couple times throughout the year, and he goes, yeah, it was going just right along those lines, that there wasn't an increase. He goes, but then here in the last quarter, he goes, I don't know if it's been scrubbed, manipulated, or what, but And now they're showing about a 200,000 increase, which is kind of like our election. Doesn't matter who you vote for, 2 counts of votes. Your stats, who are your stats provided? You know, who gathered those stats? Who provides those numbers for you? And even when you get the stats, if you don't know how the stats are gathered or the parameters that they use for those stats, you still don't know. You know, I can make a convincing argument, and that's one of the things that you use in arts of persuasion is statistics. You know, you use quotes, you use references, proof sources, statistics, commonly accepted truths. There's all kinds of different things that you can use in persuasion. But one of the strongest things that you use in persuasion is statistics. And you can manipulate the numbers and the correlations of those statistics to basically prove anything that you want to. So, without going into the full report, just because they tell you that this percentage is this and this percentage is that, you still don't know jack. And then after the election, November 4th, I had this overwhelming fear, and you know, you kind of go into this panic mode, and it took me a couple days to bounce out of that, and talking to God, being still and listening. And I come out of it. I released all that fear. I don't have any fear in my heart in any shape, form, or fashion today. And still, we're not going to know until Wednesday, the 6th, right? Of which way it's going to go. And we may not even know on the 6th. But my relationship with God, and the more I thought about it and the more I prayed about it, and I was thinking about this overwhelming fear. But you know, in the King James Version of the Bible, you know, if God tells you to do something once, yeah. If he tells you twice, you better start paying. But if he says it to you 3 times, you can write that stuff in stone, right? Do you know how many times God tells us do not fear in the King James Bible? 365 times. Isn't that interesting? 365 times. Once for every day of the year. Do not fear. So I started thinking about that, and then I thought about the correlation of, you know, the fear is the unknown, and what should we do in unknown. And I was talking to a young lady the other day that was going through some hardships, and she goes, you know, I've come to my wit's end. The only thing I can do, she goes, I laid it at God's feet. I gave it to him. She goes, I don't know, I just got to release all this anxiety and this fear. She goes, I can't worry about it anymore. I just gave it to God, let him deal with it. And you know what? She was absolutely right. And when I said my prayer that night, I basically said the same thing. And whenever I do that, you know, and after I pray, I'm still and I listen. And after I said that, it just came to me. Do not fear, for my work is not done here. It's not. We're not done. We're not to the end of the book. This is probably not even the end of a chapter. But whatever is supposed to be is going to be. And I know, believe in destiny. But His work isn't finished here yet. Also know that generally the greatest hardships that we go through generally result in our greatest blessings. Now you may, I'm telling you what, man, it's hard to see that when you're going through it. Man, it feels like the whole world's coming to an end. You could even lose everything. But sometimes that's the way it's got to go. Sometimes you can't get to the next stage of life until you let go of everything that you currently have. So, but when you're losing your family and losing your house and losing your wealth and losing everything you have, and you hit rock bottom, and you may be thinking, oh, woe is me. But this generally is going to turn out to be your greatest blessing. When you talk to people that are extremely successful, most of them failed many times before they become successful. And some of them failed in a big bad way where they did that, where they lost their family, lost their homes, lost their wealth. And I know even in a ministry, sometimes, and people are always shocked at this, because I'll have somebody telling me, that they're like, oh, Brother Walt, you don't know, man. I've lost everything. I've lost my house. I've lost my family. I've lost everything. I'm at my wit's end. I've lost everything. I'm standing right here, nothing. And I'm waiting to hear that one line when they go, man, I am at my lowest point. Whenever I hear that, whenever they say, I am at my lowest point, that's always where I jump up and I go, well, praise God. And they always like, what? Man, I just told you I was in the dumps, man. I was losing it all. I'm at my wit's end. I've lost everything. Why would you say, praise God for that? And that is simply because at that point, when you're at your very lowest point, that is where you're closest to God. That is when your prayers are heard above, beyond all others. That's where your connection with God is absolutely the strongest. And this is generally where He's able to work His strongest power in you. So whenever you say, I'm at my lowest point, I'm going to say, praise God. Because now we have something to start with. A lot of times you got to get rid of everything else. Everything else. Get that out of your life so that you can focus on your true destiny. It's amazing stuff. But I had all this fear on November 4th. And then by November 6th, when I said that, God, I know your work's not done here. What a burden was lifted. I wasn't going to talk about the God thing and that kind of stuff tonight. As a matter of fact, I had stood out there and thought for about 10-15 minutes what I was going to make this video on, and I'm going to tell you that was not the subject. But that is definitely what I was led to speak of tonight. Maybe that was what was most important. But I did make a promise to you. Okay, let's get on to the subject for the night. The secret of why I'm so successful as a company driver. And at the end of this, I'm going to tell you a secret to trip planning that'll just, it's the easiest thing in the world. And it's one of the keys to being successful. At least it has been for me. And I am so grateful for the success that I've achieved. You know, at my company, I'm the #1 requested trainer. And when it comes to success, but before I get into that, when it comes to success, most people think just about money. For some reason, society has been programmed that being successful is key to how much money is in that bank account, or how much wealth that you have, or how much assets you have. That is how you define success. That is not the true definition of success. To be successful, you have to be well-rounded. You have to have success in your relationships, success in your family, success in your health, success in your recreation, success in your profession, everything in your life you have to do well in to be truly successful. And just making money is not the definition of success. I'm going to tell you right now that I've made more money than what I make as a company driver. I've made a crap load more money than what I get paid as a truck driver. And there was one point in my life where I was making over $300K a year. I had a jet on call, limo on call. You know, I was quite the corporate little guru. And I quit. And I literally walked away from corporate America. And my friends were like, dude, are you nuts? Are you insane? How does somebody just say, I'm done, and walk away from all that? I'm going to tell you that when I was in what society would call my peak of success, I was never more miserable in my life. I didn't have a relationship with God. I didn't have any success in a relationship at the time. I even ended up taking a little stink with cocaine there for a while. You know, cocaine's God's way of saying you make too damn much money. You know, that was back in the 80s. It was socially acceptable at that time. But I'm going to tell you right now, I was not successful. I was one of the most miserable human beings that you'd ever meet. And a lot of my friends, you know, multimillionaires, and out of all my friends, I could probably name less than I have fingers on one hand of how many are actually happy. So if you think money is going to make you happy in life, it's not. That is not the key to success. You have to look at all the things in your life. Your relationships with your spouse, your children, your friends, your extended family. Everything. What you do for recreation. Everything. If it's not all well-rounded, it's not success. But and I will tell you this, that I do make over $100,000 a year as a company driver. And I've been with this company coming up on 4 years. And You may think that that is the, that's everybody's goal, is to be able to make over 100 grand a year as a truck driver, right? I mean, most of your successful owner-operators running one truck, if they make 120 grand a year, that's a really good year. Now, I know there are some guys out there that do a whole lot better than that. And there are a whole lot of guys that lose their ass at it. But to be an owner-operator, you've got to be a business. And when you have a business, you got to be married to that business. And you're responsible for so many things. So as a company driver, I'm not responsible for anything. I got no skin in the game. None. No skin in the game. I don't have any worries. When I'm driving down the road, I don't give a rat's ass if the truck breaks down or not. Now I do. I mean, because I do care about the benefit of my company. And I know that my position is utilized on the fact that I make money for my company. So I want to make as much profit for the company as I possibly can. So I take really good care of their equipment. I move their freight. And I really take care of the relationship between my company and their customers. I do all the things that my company is looking for to be in the position that I'm in. But let's talk about how you get over that $100,000 mark as a company driver. First of all, if you're bouncing from job to job, always looking for the greener pasture, I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably never going to get there, because you're not going to stay anywhere long enough to actually make the big money. One of the tricks to making the big money as a company driver is longevity with a company. Which brings you down to another point, that you need to learn how to do your research and choose the company that you go to work for. You need to spend some time on that. Not just that Joe Blow over here told you that, hey man, we're making 60 cents a mile over here. And if you're making 45, you're like, man, that's a hell of a deal. Then you get over there and you find out that you can't get but 1,800 miles a week. That job that you had at 45 cents a mile at 3,000 miles a week made more money. So, success as a truck driver has to be full circle, well-rounded. You have to think about everything. The type of equipment you drive. Does your company get you home whenever you want to on time? How regulated is that company? Like for instance, a lot of companies, when it comes to home time, they do, you're out for 7 days, you get 1 day off. Excuse me? Magnum doesn't do it that way. You can go home anytime that you want to, as long as you give them 10 days notice. And they don't care how long you stay home, 1 day or a week. The one thing that they do ask is, if you're going to be home for more than 2 weeks, leave your truck at a terminal. Otherwise, just take your truck home like an owner-operator. But it's everything. Pay, home time, the equipment you drive, how much freedom do you have in doing your job? Are they always up your ass? Are they calling you all the time? Are they putting pressure on you? Are they telling you go faster, work harder, go further? Are they screaming at you like that every day? Are they micromanaging the crap? Dude, I'd be miserable. I'd be absolutely miserable. That's the reason why I did such hard research on where I was going to go. Because, I drove a truck for a couple of years way back in the day. So I kind of knew what I was looking for. But I spent about 6 months finding the company I wanted to work for. And Magnum was my number one choice. I was talking to Ross. Y'all know Ross. Ross was one of my youngest trainers. Not the youngest anymore. He's the second to the youngest guy I actually ever trained. He drove for Schneider for just shy of a year before he come here to Magnum, so he only went out with me for about 2 weeks. And Ross's deal was he was only going to drive because Ross, he's young, what is he, 22, 23 years old? And he's been with us over a year now. But when a young man gets on my truck, one of the first things I try to figure out is what are their goals in life? What are they trying to achieve? And Ross told me that he was using trucking as a stepping stone for what he wanted to really do in life. And he was totally dedicated to this. And he was banking every dime that he could so that he only had to drive for a couple of years, and then he was going to take his bankroll and go do what he wanted to do. And after he'd been here at Magnum for about 6 months, he called me one night, and he goes, you know, Walt, when I told you that I was only going to drive for a year or two, he goes, because I was so used to the way things were at Schneider, and he goes, dude, I had no idea that trucking could be this enjoyable as it is. He goes, man, I love this. I love the lifestyle. The company leaves me alone. He goes, I don't feel pressured. He goes, it even sometimes feels like it's too casual. He goes, I could actually see myself staying here for 5, 6, 7 years, or might even stay here all the way to retirement. He goes, man, I love this. Be willing to change, But, and he still does that. He banks every dime. I know he's living on about $150 a week, and he's banking every dime. He's got, I don't know what he's got. I never asked him. He's just a little over 2 years in trucking now. I bet he's got somewhere around 80, maybe 100 grand in the bank now. Pretty good position for a young man, 23, 24 years old. Not too shabby, Ross. But make sure you look at the whole picture. And another big deal is how to be successful at the company. Orientation. Everybody hates orientation, right? Orientation, there's a couple different things that are going on in orientation. They're telling you about the way that they want you to conduct yourself, how they do business, how they want you to do their paperwork, what their requirements are, what their rules and regulations, their company policies are. That's all about orientation, right? But it seems to me that not too many people pay attention to the part when they start telling you during the orientation, over that 3 or 4 day orientation, they're going to tell you of all the different things that they pay you for. Every time they tell you something that they're going to pay you for, you ought to write that down. And then at the end of your orientation, when you get out there in your solo truck, you need to look at that list and see how you can prosper in doing as much of those things that make money as possible. One of the things that I get from YouTube is I get a lot of driver referrals. And whenever I tell you about my pay here at Magnum, I never include my referral bonuses. And I'll tell you why. Number one, referral bonuses, like here at Magnum, they pay you $2,000 for bringing a driver over to Magnum. But the deal is with that, and I kind of treat that like a grain of salt. because especially for people that just got their CDL. You know, nationwide, guys that get their CDL, you know 90% will quit the job within the first year. Yeah, they never get to the prize. They never get to the point where they're really making money. So there's a lot of people that fail at trucking. 90% will never make. Even at Magnum, with the company that Magnum is, we still have first-time drivers right out, just got their CDL. 70% are going to quit in their first year. You know, for as hard as it is to get your license and what you have to go through to get your CDL, to not go the distance to get to the prize, the reward. Too many people quit the race before they get to the finish line. But you need to encompass all those things that they tell you in orientation about how you're going to make money. And that's the reason why I don't look at the referral bonuses that much, because, you know, when they say they're going to pay you $2,000 for a referral, and most companies do it this way, that $2,000 bonus is paid over a period of time because they want to retain that driver. You know, they're not going to pay you $2,000 for a guy that comes to work and quits first month. They want a guy that's going to stay here for over a year. So generally, you know, a driver referral bonus is like you get $150 when they get through with orientation. After they've been with the company for 3 months, you get $350. You know, I don't even really know how it's paid out. And then when they've been here on their 1-year anniversary, you get the final $1,000. You know, so they pay you that $2,000 over a year. And you would think that with my YouTube channel, I was the #1 recruiter for the company. Well, close. But actually, there's another guy that he doesn't even have a YouTube channel. And he kicked my ass last year at recruiting. And I'll tell you what he uses. We have these cards right here. And this is the best drivers drive for Magnum. You know, $3,000 sign-on bonus. I'll just read it to you. This is what this card says on it. Now, because when you come to work for Magnum, you get a $3,000 sign-on bonus. And that's paid over the first year and a half. But I probably ought to put my glasses on. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to put on my glasses. I'm getting old, folks. You know, that's one of the ways that you know you're getting old, is when you have to have your reading glasses to be able to read 2 signs. You know you're getting old is when you find yourself at Walmart looking at the $5 readers. Voila, there they are. And then the other big clue is where you're scared to death to cough because you might shit your pants. Let's see. $3,000 sign-on bonus, top performance pay, new Peterbilt equipment, accommodating home time, consistent miles, paid stops, detention, layover, downtime, paid orientation and training, paid time off, full benefits including health, dental, vision, 401k with company match, rider and pet policy, driver choice of freight options, fuel bonus paid monthly. This is an old card, by the way, because this says we pay for performance up to 62 cents per mile. I actually get 65 cents a mile. I just got a raise. This is an old card. I get 65 cents a mile, all miles driven. And then I get 70 cents a mile when I'm dragging a hazmat load. But this card right here is how that guy give me a run for the money in recruiting. Because what he does is whenever he goes to a shipper or receiver, when he's walking in to take his bills of lading or inside or pick them up or whatever, he's walking down the line and he's looking for those guys that are driving for those other companies that, come on, they're slave labor companies. And he knocks on their door and asks them if they're ready to step up to a bigger job or a better job, and he hands them one of those cards with his name on it. That's how he does it. He didn't even do it with a YouTube channel. I'm terrible. Did you see that? Midnight Milky Way. I love these. Little Midnight Milky Way. The dark chocolate version. You have a cup holder up here, right? Solo cup. Got your candy in it. Put that in a cup holder. You know, you got 3 or 4 of them up here. That's my candy dish, man. I'm going down the road. Bangers. Here. See if y'all can see bangers. Bangers. You want some? Come here. I'm not going to give it to you. I want you to get up here and make your appearance on YouTube. Bangers loves Midnight Milky Ways. Don't you, babers? Yummers. It's late. You want another one? If you have 2 in one night, it may give you nightmares. Could. Want another one? Yummers. Bangers. The Wonder Dog. The Wonder Dog. I love that girl. So there are a lot of different ways to be successful. Pay attention in orientation. Write down all the different things that they're going to pay you for. Implement those activities in your daily life every day so that you make the most money. Now, I talked about a lot of things. This it's got to be one of my longest videos, 42 minutes. I'm not going to keep you. I hate long. I see some guys doing YouTube videos for 2-3 hours. Who in the hell wants to sit and listen to some truck driver for that long? For anybody that's still here at 42 minutes, why are you here listening to me for 42 minutes? But I did tell you I was going to tell you a secret about how I trip plan. Or how easy it is. You know I'm not going to eat the last Milky Way in front of you, right? That would be really crappy, wouldn't it? There you go back. But, here's the secret to how I trip plan. There's a couple things going on here. Everybody drives different. When you get out of orientation, you get in that solo truck for the first time and you start running, the company, the dispatchers, are paying attention. Now, they're not micromanaging you. They're not all climbing up in your butt. But they're watching to see how you like to run. Everybody likes to run. You know, we got a whole lot of drivers that only want to run 450 miles a day. I don't get it. I don't get it. That gives me too much free time in the day if I only run 450 miles in a day. I run an average of 640 miles every day, day in, day out. I drive 12,000 miles a month consistently. And a lot of that is the key to the way I run. But your dispatchers are watching you run. If you're a cat that only wants to run 450, 500 miles a day, they start booking your freight that way. Because that way you're going to be on time and everything's running on time and everything runs smooth with the companies and shippers and receivers. So all your loads are going to average at 500 miles a day. That's going to limit you on your income. So I tell all the guys I train, and here's another thing that's a curious statistic before I tell you that. You know, I told you that first-time drivers, that we only retain about 30%. 70% of even our first-time drivers quit during the first year. Not the guys I train. That's not my statistic. Everybody that I've ever trained for this company is still here, with the exception of 2. I have over a 90% retention rate. In other words, all the guys I've trained, they're still here. And Gilbert, you know, Gilbert's out, been running solo for just a little bit. And I was talking to him today, and I asked him, I said, how's he doing? He goes, man, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm getting home time, my relationship with my wife and my children, everything's going great. He goes, I had a great holiday at home. He goes, I'm out running now. He goes, man, I'm loving it. And he goes, dude, I know why. I know why all the guys that you train are successful. And I was like, oh, really? Clue me in, because maybe I'm not seeing it. He goes, the reason is because not only do you teach us how to drive the truck, not only do you teach us how to make money, he goes, but you teach us how to enjoy our life on the road. He goes, man, you have a great life. He goes, just because you're in the truck, your life doesn't stop. I said, well, no. He goes, you know, and how to cook meals on the truck, and how to eat good, and how to do this, and how to live good. He goes, dude, you live like a rock star out here on the road. I said, yeah, I know. I love it. I love this lifestyle. But here's the secret. So when you get into your solo truck, they're watching you to see how you run. If you only run 450 miles a day, 500 miles a day, that's how they're going to book your freight. You're never going to get to the top of your game that way. Which just brings me to my secret that I was going to share with you, how I trip plan. We pay $150 a day layover pay, $75 a day in transit pay. So when I get those long loads, 1,800 miles and stuff, I try to get there the day before, get an extra $75 on my check. Miles are still going to be the same. I'm still going to run my 12,000 miles a month. But I'm going to get there a day early so I can call them up and say, hey, you need to kick another $75 on my paycheck. and as soon as I hit my 2-hour mark, I'm going to charge them every dime of that detention pay. But I run 640 miles every day. When they book my loads, they don't want to pay to, you know, layover pay, and they don't want to pay in transit pay and all that type of stuff. So my loads are tight. My loads are figured at 600 miles a day, and there's a lot of times I'm getting to my appointment, my shipper or receiver, sometimes 15 minutes, a half hour before. I go in, bump the dock, and generally I'm an hour turnout. God, I had a nightmare. I had a nightmare here about a week ago. I sat on a dock, this is no crap, 22 hours. Oh my God, 22, that's a record. Yeah, I got to one of these shippers. It's one of these great big warehouses. It's all computer controlled, and you know, they have the computer stacking and all that kind of stuff. I hate frickin' computers because their computers went down, and it took them 22 hours to get it fixed before they could get me loaded. I sat in the door for 22 hours. Sat there for a day. $150 layover, but I'd rather had my driving pay. You know, that's over $300 a day. Come on. But still, I don't worry about any of that. I just run. So here's the secret. So my freight, when a dispatcher puts me on a load, they set the appointments because they know I'm going to run 600 miles a day. They want to get me in 30 minutes before my appointment time, get me loaded, unloaded, fast turnaround, get me back on the road so I can run the rest of my miles and get my 600 miles a day. We are in the business of moving freight. They are going to utilize their assets for the ultimate profit of their company. They are going to, if they got a horse that'll run, they're going to set you up so that you can run. So when you get out of orientation, you get in that solo truck, I tell all my guys, first 30 days in that truck, you drive every minute of your clock every day, and you get there early, whatever it is, so that they have to adjust the way that they're booking their freight with you. Otherwise, they're having to pay fees, layover pays, and all that kind of stuff. Just run your face off the first 30 days. And that way, all your freight will be booked tight. And you make good money. Real good money. So this brings us down to the secret that I told you everybody I was going to share. How do I load plan, trip plan? And I'm going to tell you right now how I plan every one of my trips. I don't trip plan in any shape, form, or fashion. Not at all. When they load this truck, as soon as it's loaded, whatever time I have left on my clock, I drive it. And I drive every minute of my clock until I get to my destination. That's how I trip plan. When I get a load and it's going to such and such place, I put such and such place into my GPS. I look at the entire course and go, okay, I'm going to take 94 down here and connects to 290, and then 294, and then 80, and then I'm going to come up and I'm going to get on 94, and yeah, so I know the basic route, and then I put that. Hell, a lot of times anymore, I don't even look at my GPS from the time until right before I get there. Just run every minute of your clock. The freight's booked that way. So it's not really very hard to trip plan. I run every minute of my clock. When my clock runs out, I take a 10-hour break. And as soon as my 10-hour break, I'm logging in. 5 minutes for a pre-trip. Put this baby in gear and I'm gone. I got a dog with me. I stop several times during the day. I stop every 2 or 3 hours. Let Bangers take a little walk. Sometimes we only stop for 4 or 5 minutes. Let her do her business. I like to stay in rest areas at night, like I am right now. That way I can take her for a long walk and she can go run around the trees and chase squirrels and be a dog. Yeah. You've been out chasing squirrels twice tonight already, haven't you? It's cold up here in Michigan. Not too many squirrels. But she gets her run time. But what I'll do is I'll run every minute of my clock until I get to the last 2 hours of my clock. I stop, I take my dog for a walk, I get back in the truck, and I look at every opportunity that I have to park within the next 120 miles and plan to where I'm going to park and stay the night. That's it. That's how I run my freight. I don't trip plan, I just run my face off. And that's how I make over $100,000 a year, just as a company driver. It ain't rocket science, folks. It ain't rocket science. Woo! Let's see. Wow. 54 minutes on YouTube. I never make videos this long. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night. Get back here and watch my satellite TV. Might watch a little YouTube on it. I was watching Shark Tank earlier. But get back here and relax a little bit. I'm way ahead of schedule. I don't even have to set an alarm clock when I go to midnight. I could stay up till midnight tonight, sleep as long as I want to, wake up, run. I got all the time in the world because I did all my running up front on the trip. So I got excessive time here at the end because it's New Year's weekend and they're not going to unload me till Monday. So I can sleep in and have a casual day tomorrow. I like that. Have a casual day here and there. I ain't got to run like a banshee all the time. What would be my goal? My goal would be to make over 120 grand this year as a company driver. You know, my goal 2 years ago was to make over 100,000 just as company driver. I'm just talking about driving pay, all right? And I hit that last year. I mean, come on. I missed it, but what was my actual driving pay was 99,000 and some change. I mean, I was right there knocking on the door. I haven't got my W-2 yet for this year, but I definitely know it's over 100K. And, you know, that's the deal. Everybody's worried about their $2,000 stimulus. It's not a frickin' week's pay, dude. Why do I give a rat's ass? And I haven't, during the whole pandemic and everything, I've never missed a week's pay this whole last year. Haven't missed. How many people are losing their business, losing their ass? Owner-operators have lost their trucks. I mean, all these terrible things. Oh, woe is me. I'm the little company driver. Like that little train, I think I can. The chugga, chugga, chugga. Dude, I just keep running. As one YouTuber goes, I just hustle. I just do my job. Live my life. Enjoy. Play with my dog. Life is good. And I wish every one of you more success than what I could ever experience. Anyway, y'all have an absolutely blessed day. God bless you, each and every one. Remember, you too can change the world. All you got to do is be nice to each other. Bye-bye.